The first game the WNBA will broadcast will be the Indiana Fever hosting the Chicago Sky. In case you've forgotten, that means Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese will face off to get the 2025 campaign started the right way.
As they announce the new season schedule, Caitlin Clark is undoubtedly hoping the WNBA remembers she's a person and not just a cash cow. And you know what? It's precisely what you would expect from the first match. Angel Reese vs. Clark, it's shocking. Naturally, the WNBA needs a rivalry to boost viewership, and this is their ideal matchup. The return of Kelsey Mitchell is imminent. However, I think it's crucial that they keep their big three together, so even if I think Kelsey Mitchell will return, that gives people something to look forward to. Let's be honest, though. This is not the first game that Angel Reese is winning. Why? Due to the previous season. She was too preoccupied with being dramatic to be useful. Her highlight reel is essentially a collection of pointless showmanship and small-time hostility. Clark, meanwhile, has been carrying the league on her back and controlling the floor. People aren't watching to watch Reese pout. They support Clark, the up-and-coming talent who is changing the game and its course. And really, who is to blame? This matchup has already generated incredible anticipation. Once more, Caitlin Clark has succeeded. Not only is she outperforming defenders, however, she's also delivering the WNBA its biggest makeover to date, the league schedule for 2025. It is a masterwork of mayhem, rivalries, and pure marketing brilliance. And the gleaming focal point is Clark. And I believe that Caitlin swiftly overtook Angel Reese in the Rookie of the Year competition last season in terms of her on-court prowess. She did more than simply join the It's Indiana Fever. She set fire to the entire league. Now, fans who hardly understood the concept of a rebound are acting as though they have been WNBA analysts for decades. Everyone cares about Clark. And by making the most of her fame, the WNBA is well aware of what they're doing. Let's be honest, the type of drama that reality TV producers love is her feud with Angel Reese. For what they would sell their souls. Reese vs. Clark is a full-on saga. The league is counting on their competition to generate a lot of views. And it's working, to be honest. They aren't accidentally scheduled against one another in the season opener. No, that's brilliant strategy. At 1 p.m. Eastern Time on May 17, 2025, the Indiana Fever vs. Chicago Sky match will feel more like a prize fight than a game. While Clark continues to behave as like she doesn't give a damn, Reese, who is always willing to criticize, has been stirring things up. Let's not pretend, though, that she isn't enjoying every moment of this. As you recall, Clark made numerous attempts to state last year that the two did not compete with one another. Reese undoubtedly made every effort to fuel the animosity, even as Clark attempted to minimize it. That's because, well, Angel Reese doesn't get paid as much without Caitlin Clark. Furthermore, the figures are honest. Over 2 million people are expected to watch the opening game, according to the WNBA, 2 million. That's crazy. But it's not shocking given that Clark's performance in New York last season broke attendance records and brought in more than $2 million. She is a sensation. Even Angel Reese, though she would never acknowledge it, is likely aware of it, as are the league and the fans. There is also a suggestion that Clark's fame is indirectly responsible for Reese's increasing salary. You can guarantee it's stoking this already fierce competition if that's the case. Although it's not the greatest approach to fuel a rivalry, Reese isn't above acting impolitely. Well done, outkick. In essence, it's the most extreme personality conflict. Reese's fiery, in-your-face intensity contrasted with Clark's calm, collected manner. The league has made the most of this rivalry, and good for them, to be honest. However, you can't get rid of the impression that they're relying too heavily on her celebrity. Indeed, Clark is carrying the league on her back in addition to the Fever. Instead of merely cashing the check she's bringing in, they should at least give her the red carpet. The Fever sold out all but 3 of their shows in 2024. Yes, you did hear that, 3. More than 168,000 spectators turned out to witness Clark dominate the court. We're not just talking about local fans, however. To witness her in action, people came from all over the world, including 9,000 miles distant. That is almost obsessive. To be honest, the WNBA ought to be swooning over her for this kind of recognition. Yes, it is already a present from State Farm and Caitlin Clark. In fact, it's pretty cool. My all-time favorite show is the Indiana Fever. I am eagerly anticipating the next season. The league has become a cultural phenomenon thanks to Clark. The merchandise of the Fever, every day they're flying off the shelves like it's Black Friday. Because of her, people who a year ago couldn't have cared less about the WNBA are now huge fans. The league has at last discovered a player that causes even the most indifferent onlookers to pause and wonder, who is this Caitlin Clark that everyone is talking about? She is generating excitement, attracting new fans, and essentially redefining the WNBA's identity. To be honest, quite good. Good enough. You can't help but ask, though, if the league is giving her the recognition she merits, or do they simply treat her like the perpetually obliging golden goose? The Fever's success or failure depends on this season. There is a lot of anticipation that Stephanie White, who is taking over as head coach, can provide some structure to a club that is in dire need of it. I'm hoping that having a real coach will have a significant impact. Yes, we can all give thanks to God that Stephanie White is joining us and that we are getting over Christie's sides. A more robust identity for defense? Sure, please. Despite being on the verge of demonstrating that she can handle everything on her own, Clark is unable to accomplish so. If the Fever want to convert her star power into victories, they must support her with a redesigned roster and real help. Not to mention the crucial query, will the Fever's first game surpass the 3 million audience threshold? Although it's audacious, Clark is the only person who can succeed. But wait, this new WNBA season has more narrative twists than just Clark and Reese. Let's introduce the league's newest expansion team, the Golden State Valkyries. Making an impression right away, they will make their debut on May 16, 2025, against the Los Angeles Sparks. The Valkyries quickly become the talk of the town after showing up with the greatest footwear, much like the hip new kid at school. Their head coach, Natalie Naka's and general manager, Ohima Nayanen, are already preparing to create an impression. They have a blank canvas to achieve something exceptional with the January expansion draft and the February free agent window, not to mention that it's the Bay Area. Fans like that don't play around. The Valkyries have the potential to become the league's next great thing if they play their cards well. However, I can already see what. This is what the WNBA is attempting to do. Because these are two teams, you guys, they are attempting to establish a mini in-state rivalry between the Golden State Valkyries and the Los Angeles Sparks. In all likelihood, that won't be very good in 2025. Beginning with highly anticipated games from the very beginning, the WNBA packed the schedule with must-see events. On February 1st, free agency begins, paving the way for roster changes. The next generation of talent is brought in by the WNBA draft on April 14th. And by May 16th, a season that has been planned to blow everyone away begins. Every choice, date, and game seems to have been planned to increase drama and interest. Will 2 or 2.5 million people attend that game? Would it be able to draw 3 million? The questions we will be beginning to ask will include some of those. Monitoring the attendance and ratings is going to be fascinating. The time has come for the New York Liberty to take center stage. In all honesty, it's time. Before facing the Las Vegas Aces at 3 p.m., ET, on May 17, 2025, they hoisted their first ever championship banner. And as 2025 approaches, they appear to be just as dangerous with Breanna Stewart at the forefront. Let's face it, even though she is theoretically an unrestricted free agent, she will remain in New York. She is the Liberty Kingdom's queen, and she will remain in place to defend that title unless someone throws a Brinks truckload of gold bars at her feet. Following that, they will face the Las Vegas Aces. Two teams that I'm fairly certain despise one another are the New York Liberty. Next up is the Seattle Storm VS Phoenix matchup, which again has two teams that I don't think are very fond of one another. Let's now discuss the Aces. It wasn't exactly their season in 2024. The best time. Fourth in the rankings, the Liberty, you guessed it, bounced them in the semifinals. It was more than just a poor year. It served as a warning because they rely too heavily on their star core and have forgotten that depth exists. The Aces are in a typical WNBA predicament. One of their mainstays, Kelsey Plum, is going into unrestricted free agency. Her future also seems more difficult than Stewart's. 2025 might be yet another drawn-out, miserable season if the Aces front management doesn't pull itself together and fix that leaky bench. The Aces urgently need to demonstrate that they are not becoming obsolete, while the Liberty are determined to demonstrate that they are still the best team in the league. I don't believe that this Indiana Fever will. Doesn't get any better than they did the previous season, especially with their new coach. We'll be watching to see what players they decide to maintain, trade for, and draft. For example, I believe the Indiana Fever will be excellent. Regarding the Chicago Sky, I'm not sure if I can say the same. In general, it appears to be their organization. The future of the WNBA seems to rest on Clark's shoulders. Is she able to handle the Fever? route to a title? Will she continue to convert infrequent viewers into ardent admirers? There's no denying that Caitlin Clark has already changed the WNBA's strategy. She is a revolution, not simply a player. And if the league is astute, they will begin to treat her with the respect and assistance she merits rather than as a never-ending publicity generator. Because let's be honest, the WNBA wouldn't be nearly as fascinating at the moment without her. Okay, and that bitch of a son would have gone viral. The schedule is introduced, and perhaps Angel Reese appears in the film near the conclusion. Whatever fuels the fires, that's my approach. There is more to this season than just Clark, Reese, or the Valkyries. It's about the WNBA stepping up its expansion and demonstrating that it can provide elite entertainment. Every element shouts, pay attention, from the Valkyries' appearance to Clark's magnetic draw. This is now a full-fledged show rather than merely a sports league. We're in for an exciting trip if the remainder of the season lives up to the opening act.